On today's workshop, we're going to be discussing why audio control is still your best bet to partner with for OEM integration. Hey guys, I'm Matthew Palumbo, Director of National Audio Sales for Audiocontrol, and I want to show you a few different things today, show you a few case studies and such about why audio control is still your best bet for OEM integration. You know, there's so many companies coming up these days, new companies sprouting up, and old companies starting to offer products in this space. And so, you know, it's starting to kind of pollute the waters a little bit, muddy things for a lot of dealers. And a lot of you are starting to wonder, should I still be using audio control, or maybe I should go with one of these other guys? And that's what I want to talk to you about today and show you just why you should stick with audio control. So case study number one, here's a competitor's amplifier that's come out in the last couple of years that's clearly kind of targeting some of the amplifiers that we make. And what I want to show you is kind of where we step up and win in this comparison. So this page has all sorts of specs on it, and you can sit here and compare all day long, but I've done a lot of the work for you, and I've already kind of put it together. And I'm trying to be fairly unbiased here. Obviously, I'm going to be a little bit biased towards audio control, but I'm trying to be honest as far as where our competitors win and where do we win. But since today is all about audio control and this video is about audio control, obviously I'm going to speak more to where we win on these scenarios. So when we take a look at competitors' product versus ours, one of the first things I look at is, on paper, lots of companies can do, similar things to what we do, but how clean is their audio? How nice are their amplifiers? What is the actual sound that we get out of these things? And when we're comparing these, short of sitting there and listening to both of them, the best specs we can go off of are THD and signal to noise ratio. And that's the first thing I'd like to take a look at is THD wise, you're going to notice that the audio control, in this case, LC series amplifier, is a 0.1% THD rating, whereas our competitors, and not just this specific model, but a lot of our competitors, are a 1.0 THD. Now, 1 is not terrible. That's not a horrible THD rating, but 0.1 is obviously a much cleaner spec. Same thing when it comes to signal noise ratio. We are talking about 102 dBA versus 78 from our competitors. If you're not super familiar with signal noise ratio, this is a brief explanation of it. Is what's the separation in the signal from the noise floor to the actual audio being heard, and we want that number to be big. We want a higher separation between the two. The next thing that I'd like to look at is, for a product that's very similarly priced to mine, the other thing that I like to look at is power. We offer a lot of power per channel in these LC series amplifiers. We're also one of the only brands out there that offers an amplifier that has built-in signal summing. That's a very unique feature. Now, there are some others out there that are starting to kind of copycat some of those things, but we definitely do it the easiest, I would say. If you're not an expert at signal summing, if you're not putting a DSP into the system, but you still know you need to sum two signals together, say a high signal and a low signal together to get full range, we have the easiest way to do that in these LC series amplifiers. And then the last thing that I would mention on these, and I'm going to bring it up a lot, is warranty. We kill just about everybody out there on warranty with a 5-year bulletproof warranty on all audio control products when they're installed by an authorized dealer. Now, case study number 2 is taking a look at a really popular category these days. This is one of those categories where we keep seeing new products popping up from just about every manufacturer out there. And, we can't help but feel like we pioneered this category and really came up with some of the most innovative and still continue to be some of the best products out there for OEM integration, line output converters, etc. But we keep seeing products pop up that seem to kind of mimic ours. So let's take a little bit closer look at some of the details. So when it comes to 2-channel line output converters, obviously these are most commonly going to be used for just adding on a simple bass system, adding on an amplifier and a subwoofer. So it's no big surprise that nearly every brand out there has come up with their own, and that's okay, but let's not assume that all LOCs are created equal. Let's also not assume that they're all the same quality. So let's dig a little deeper. When we take a look at our LC2i Pro, this is by far a legendary LOC. This is the industry standard, and I feel very confident saying that. This is the industry standard in 2-channel LOCs for a few reasons, one of which it's super, super clean. We don't color the signal. We don't have a dirty signal at all. We have 0.01 THD, not 0.1, 0.01% THD. We also have a super high signal noise ratio at 124 dBA. The other feature on these that gets kind of looked past a lot is the voltage output. We can deliver over 13 volts of RCA line output with this. Now, some of you are asking yourselves, why do I need 13 volts of line output? I mean, most amps will only take 4 to 6, maybe 8 volts in. That's true, but what happens when you're running multiple amplifiers? It's nice to know that you can drive this signal to a point where it's hot enough and clean enough to where if you do need to split this signal, it's safe to do so, and you know that your amplifiers are still going to get a nice, let's say 4 to 6 volt signal sent into them. And of course, you can always turn this signal down a little bit too on the outputs, so you're not overdriving the input of your amplifier. We definitely don't want to do that. The other thing to take a look at is outputs themselves. We give you 4 channels of output on our 2-channel LOC, which just adds for some extra flexibility and system design. So if your customer is getting a 2-channel LOC today, just so that they can add an amp and sub, in the future, you've got an extra set of RCA outputs. If you want to just add a 2-channel or even a 4-channel amp that is non-fading, you can easily do that with that extra set of RCAs. And the last point I will bring up is that for such an inexpensive product at right around $139 MAP, this product still carries that 5-year warranty when installed by an authorized dealer. And last but not least, and arguably one of the most important, is we have our patented AccuBass feature in the LC2i Pro. This is the feature that most people come to the 2i Pro for, and honestly, one of the features that made Audiocontrol so well known. AccuBass really goes in and fixes a problem that is so common in factory sound systems. So many vehicles have bass roll-off or bass plateau, where as you increase the volume knob, the bass doesn't get any louder past a certain point in the volume scale. And AccuBass compensates for that by filling in the gap where the factory radio leaves off all the way up to max volume. And when it's set up properly, it works incredibly well. Ask anybody who uses AccuBass on a daily basis and really knows how to set it up, and they will tell you that AccuBass, when done correctly, sounds just like an aftermarket stereo, which is exactly what we want out of a high-quality LOC. For our last case study, we're going to take a look at an area of the industry that has been growing a little bit, and we continue to see so many copycats popping up nearly every day, and that is bass processing. Okay, we pioneered bass processing with the Epicenter way back in the 70s, and we have been making the Epicenter ever since then, and it continues to be an insanely popular product for us, which is why it's no big surprise that we continue to see knockoffs, copycats, and imitations popping up in the industry. Now that's okay. Again, lots of companies are going to try to come up with their own version. And if they do come up with their own version, I'm all for it. It's when they come up with one that is a direct knockoff of ours that I don't love. So with that, let's take a look at the deeper details of our bass processing and what makes it special. So again, when we take a look at bass processing, there's tons of them out there, but let's be honest, they're all really trying to replicate the magic that we created with the Epicenter. And what makes the Epicenter so special? There's millions of Epicenter users out there, and I do mean millions. We've made far more than 1 million Epicenters. But what I mean about the magic of the Epicenter is just how special it is to listen to. Yes, there is all sorts of technology behind what makes it work. And I'll give you a little bit of why that works and how. But the magic of the Epicenter is that it really makes just about any song more fun to listen to. Whether it's a song that just doesn't have a lot of bass to begin with, a certain genre of music that is lacking bass, or maybe a type of recording, or even a certain kind of vehicle that just has no bass, the Epicenter is applicable to all of those cases. Now, how does the Epicenter work? The Epicenter works by actually constantly analyzing the signal that's passing through it. And what it does is it looks for what the lowest bass that's present in the music is, and then it artificially manufactures bass 1 octave below that. So it's actually reading the harmonics in the signal, and it works really, really well, especially when it's applied, conservatively, let's say. So when you feed signal into an Epicenter or an Epicenter Micro, like we're showing now, this little box of magic is going to take a song that only had bass that kind of punched you in the chest, let's say, and now suddenly that song has bass that is low and shakes the whole car, and you can really feel it in the seat of your pants. And that's just something that others can't quite recreate. Of course, we've had patents and lots of things on the Epicenter over the years, and that doesn't always stop people from doing what they do. But with our more current products like the Epicenter Micro, there's more to it than just that bass processing. So when we take a look at some of the features of the Epicenter Micro, again, you'll notice super low THD. So a lot of folks out there think of Epicenters as, oh, they add unnecessary bass, maybe they're kind of dirty, so on and so speak. It couldn't be farther from the truth. These are actually 0.03% THD. They've got a super high signal noise ratio, 124 dBA. And then again, that RCA output of up to 13 volts of output is pretty phenomenal. Now, when you look at the Epicenter Micro in particular, it's even gotten better than the original in that it has a fully defeatable PFM, which means that you can defeat the subsonic filter. It has the built-in load generating circuitry, so you can select which load you need for doing OEM integration situations. And what's great about this piece is that because it has high and low level inputs, of course, you can use it in both aftermarket radio and factory system type applications. We also have some cool installer-centric features in there, like ground isolation, multiple ways to trigger the product to turn on, things like that. We can also accept an exceedingly large amount of input voltage, and that goes for most audio control products. That whole 40 volts of input capability, we talk about it a lot, so it gets glossed over a bit, but it is important. I mean, this is where we can accept up to 400 watts of input signal from a factory system and then convert it to a clean, hot, untouched RCA signal that's going to allow you to turn the gains on your amplifiers way down and still have a really high performance system. It's the best of both worlds, right? We can't go wrong with that. The frequency response on these Epicenters as well is definitely superior because we are going down to 10 hertz. We want it to play down low since we are talking about low bass. And then, as far as input capability as well, 15 volts of input RCA capability, that's considerable. I don't even know of a source unit that can provide anywhere near that. And lastly, I brought it up before, I'm going to bring it up again, the warranty. You want to know that if you're partnering with a brand for OEM integration, that you have someone that stands behind their products and is comfortable saying that, hey, we will back this thing for 5 years when you guys install it. And that's exactly what Audiocontrol's done with this product and all of our OEM integration products. So there you have it. Thanks for tuning into today's workshop. I hope you learned something, and I hope I gave you at least a few convincing reasons of why you should consider or stick with Audiocontrol for your partner in OEM integration. For more details on any of the products we looked at today and all of the amazing Audiocontrol lineup, be sure to check out audiocontrol.com. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next one.